Sure, I'll bomb.
Do I get capped here?
I know you love it.
Get this,
Hey, Trigger, can you
Dark is at 50, come on, baby.
no, he has no trinket. TH has no keep trinket. Kill this guy. We got this.
I have blind after, no, I have blind and then we cap.
Hold on, he's DR. He's DR.
Wait, with 4 seconds. Actually, Kidney, start capping.
Copy.
Kill me.
Kidney. Kidney. We win. Yes.
Let's go!
What a game.
Let's go, Dark. Hey!
Yeah, that's the song.
Let's go. Where you at, Dark? Huh?
Go. No! Saw now looking to get the cap, but it looks like Kumu has
Take the flag in the flag riding, Saw might be able to just go cap, Kumi's gonna go down, Drew.
come here. I'm gonna kill you and take that flag as Drew returns the flag. Zarashi with the huge Death Knight plays.
Sales representative for the Flash.
I may or may not be sponsored by Fleshlight.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Battleground Breakdown podcast, the show where we break down rated battlegrounds and discuss hot topics from around the rated battleground community. I'm your host, BG Wizard, and joining me as co-host is Drew Dynamite, along with a special guest today. We have Mornnah of the WoW Community Council. Drew, what's up with you, man?
Nothing much. I just want to take this time to apologize for the Obsidian Hero hype. I thought that was a new title. I misread the thing.
Okay, yeah. So to clarify, last episode we thought that there was a new title, but it's actually just a feat of strength.
Well, I did.
Right.
Like, you don't have to take the blame. Like,
no, just so the audience understands, it is a feat of strength. It is not a new title next season. So our mistake on that one. But anything else new with you?
Not since last podcast. I guess I've been just doing more editing, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. Okay. And Mornnah, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. We usually start with a brief history of your WoW career, where you started, what classes you play, what do you enjoy in WoW, and ultimately how you ended up on the community council. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been playing this game since it was released, literally, 2004? So, how long does this podcasting go on for a while? But, it kind of goes in hand with, the end of the question, how I ended up on the council. So I kind of have a pretty insane amount of experience on this game. Back in vanilla, I was like the second ranked highest PvPer on the rated Battleground when the servers, were singular, so I was on Shadowsong at that time. So vanilla, I was pretty focused in PvP. In Burning Crusade, I actually swapped up to PvE, and I was in the top 50 rating guilds at the time, so we used to be swapped around a lot. Nice. And I was actually the Warlock lead at that point, so I was super sweaty into the game. The Warlock has been my Mornnah, the Warlock I'm playing now has been my main throughout since the beginning. Wrath, I kind of did a little bit of the raiding scene, then I took a break off, to go enjoy personal life. Came back when they announced Legion, because I was really excited about that storyline. Kind of played casual Legion, and then I picked back up the PvP scene with the fall expansions and raiding. I got, Cutting Edge, Gladiator, Hero of the Horde, this new Legend title that we have now for this expansion. So it's just a lot of experience, Keystone Hero. I do the, transmog collecting, the mount collecting, the pack battles. I got all those achievements. So I'm really
do it all.
Yeah, so I have a lot of experience on this, and I think that's why they picked me for the council.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, big background in the game. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I was just similar to you. Like I rated way back in the day in Wrath, and then NBC, and then switched to PvP somewhere along the line. And yeah, man, That's cool. Okay, well, how about Dragonflight? What's your Dragonflight been like? Have you we're obviously an RBG podcast. We love talking about the game. It doesn't have to be RBG specific, but how has your Dragonflight been, and have you played any RBGs?
Yeah, I've actually was playing at like 1 a.m. this morning still. So, we're like the top two teams on the bracket at the time, so we're just queuing against each other over and over again. You know what that's like. But so far, the experience has been pretty positive. There's, a couple things that I wish I would see different, but I think overall they've done a pretty decent job without making one thing like absurdly overpowered. But I don't know, the community is still the same. People are still enjoyable to play with. That's the whole reason we do RBGs. I am enjoying the solo shuffle scene a lot. That's kind of easy just to queue in and get in games. Although with above like 2K, you're sitting 40-minute queues, so that's kind of frustrating. But gives me an opportunity to go on my transmog farming and whatnot. So at least I'm not completely bored.
Yeah.
The arena scene is taking a little bit of a dive in terms of participation. It's kind of harder to find people because most people are just doing solo shuffle now. So there is that impact on the game. But aside from those little nuances, having a pretty good experience with expansion. I think they've done a really good job with it.
Nice. Yeah, we talked about that last week. We had a pretty good discussion about how solo shuffle, it might be like one of those like you think you do but you don't. Like you think you want it but you don't situations where like everybody was like we need solo queue. And then like now it's like, well, shoot, the 2s and 3s are hurting because of it, and there's long queue times if you're a DPS player. So it's definitely an interesting topic. It's like
Yeah.
it's cool to have a new game mode, but it also like, is it good for the game? It's good. It's just a good question.
Yeah, one thing I would say, I like the fact that you can, you're able to play specs that you normally wouldn't be able to in a normal bracket. Like for example, I mean, Arcane Mage, this expansion has done pretty well, but historically that's been fairly garbage, spec, and so no one ever invites an Arcane Mage into an arena team. So at least they can actually play arena now. So there's stuff like that I really appreciate about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see how it's been playing out in the other brackets, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it seems like there's basically the moral of the story is that a lot of people are playing solo shuffle, which is good, but then due to that, less people in 2s and 3s, and
Like unintended ramifications. Like I don't really think it's. I honestly am not sure if solo shuffle was objectively good or objectively bad to have in the game because it's really hard to tell. I mean, I'm happy for the people who wanted it, but now I feel bad for the dedicated 2v2 and 3v3 bracket that now their bracket is I believe harder than ever to hit Gladiator because of the lack of participation.
100%.
yeah. Yep.
I think I think there was the stats came out. I think it was Vinarupi who announced it or did something on his stream where basically showed that like historically this is the lowest amount of gladiators they've had in like the entire history of the game. Because just no one's queuing at that level.
Yeah, it's difficult. So, yes, I'm sure we're gonna touch on it more. Thanks for coming on the show, man. It's
Thanks for having me.
it's definitely nice to bounce it off of somebody who has been on the WoW Community Council of all people, because at least you've kind of been in the depths of the forums and everything. Speaking of the forums, though, there was a recent blue post, which I made a YouTube video on this, but you were on it, and I remember in the video saying like, I know this guy, I played RPGs with him, like they should listen to this guy. So in the it's basically a forum thread. If you don't know what the WoW Community Council is, it's like a forum of selected people that can basically talk to Blizzard, and Blizzard like listens to or is supposed to listen to the community council. That's how I would sum it up. And on a recent thread, we had Mornnah here and a couple other people. The thread started off by saying that there's just a lack of Battleground content, and they stated when the last map was put in the game, and so obviously a good decent chunk of people started commenting on this. Mornnah was one of them. And ultimately, it resulted in a blue post by Blizzard saying, we love Battlegrounds 2 and we're working on it. But they had nothing to announce at the time. So our first topic is going to be, what do you think we're working on it means? Could it be a new map? Could it be a new game mode like 6v6? What do you guys think on this? Drew, why don't we have you take it away here?
I hope it's not a 6v6 mode, only because I saw what solo shuffle did to arenas. I don't want that to happen to RBGs. I mean, I really hope it's like just a new map with it. It could be, it could even. I would be happy with like even a reskin of what of a game mode of a RBG map we already have, like a new capture the flag map or a new domination map, but with like a different skin and hopefully symmetrical. Um, that's what. Or if they do introduce a new map with a new game mode that I brought this up before, but like the only new game mode that I think would be a good one that I can think of off the top of my head is Hut Ball from SWTOR, where the flag or the ball is in the middle and you have to grab it and take it to the enemy side.
Okay. Yep.
I'm sure, you know, hundreds of people can think of better ideas for game modes than me, so
Sure. Sure. Mornnah, what do you think that I mean, walk us through this thread because I noticed at times like regular Battleground people started to comment, and you were like, you were one of the guys that kind of like was like, "Hey, I think we're getting off topic in this thread."
Mm.
And so what do you think about this? You also mentioned the symmetrical, like you know how each map has to be completely even for both Horde and Alliance being a big thing. So I thought you had some really good points on this. What do you think about this thread, and then also like the blue post at the end of it?
Yeah, so I mean, from the council, like, I know you mentioned, in a private discussion that you spoke with World PvP, and so like one of the difficult parts about talking about PvP on the council is that like him and I were probably, I would say, the only two like highly experienced PvPers, and so we understand like a lot of the technical stuff. But the majority of the council is, formed with casual players, who run into a normal battleground and, then push defensives and die instantly, and they don't have that kind of like understanding of what needs to happen in the game. So trying to get a very like productive PvP conversation with the council was definitely a difficult point to make. So, moving, talking about, like, what do I think the blue post means? Behind the scene, there was discussions about the 6v6, that, like you guys mentioned, I'm personally torn on that. Part of me would like to be able to just push Q and then get, wait for a battleground to queue rather than us, take some, what, I know, Wizard, you do it all the time. It takes almost sometimes an hour to get 10 people, depending on the time.
Yeah.
So it can get kind of frustrating. But on the same token, like as Drew mentioned, the potential ramification it could have on the actual bracket is also something to consider. So I don't know, part of me wants it, part of me doesn't want it, so I'm torn on that. Game mode too, it's like, I hope that they would add a new game mode. I think that would be something neat. But, as Drew mentioned too, like I don't have something off the top of my head. The only thing I can think of is if they did like something like Gurubashi Arena where they just do a free for all and see how that plays out. But we know the Blood Death Knights are the ones who are gonna run that one. So
Oh yeah.
so there's some kind of like there would be some severe like balancing that would need to happen in that kind of situation. But ultimately, like I said, it was very difficult to get a good conversation in the council about PvP. So we didn't get a lot of discussion from Blizzard about that, so I don't know where their mind is on this, honestly. I just kind of hope that the new council people that are in there, they get some more experienced PvPers who can really help, fuel some ideas and, some of the technicalities that need to happen with the new battlegrounds.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like they said like and there were in Blizzard's response at the end of the thread, it was like, "We love Battlegrounds 2, we're working on it," and it's like just touching on everything you just said. It's like not concerning, but it makes you wonder, like, so do you think they're listening to the casuals, or do you think they're actually listening to like the main point, which was like, just give us like any new content at all? And so it's kind of like, who are they listening to when they say we're working on it? Because it could mean, yeah, we're getting a new map, or it could mean we're changing the way some honor works in a random BG or something. You know what I mean? It really could mean anything.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting on that note where, one of the things that's a lot of the more casual players are complaining about was crowd control. And, like I said, they would sit a full kidney, never try and get, and World PvP and I would like get in arguments with these people about this kind of stuff, about like why they're dying, But with the new 10.1 changes, I'm curious whether some of that dialogue kind of influenced that. Even though I don't think it's going to change anything up too much, considering we have the CC reduction on the the craftable stuff. But I'm curious if that kind of the more casual mindset influenced that. So I'm not sure who they're listening to be honest.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
think
sure. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Drew.
I'm sorry. I think I read that I'm sorry if I'm wrong again, but I think I read that the CC reduction crafted gear is getting removed next patch.
Yeah, so they've changed the crowd control on numerous abilities though, like reducing it. That's what I'm saying. I really think it's going to be somewhat of a wash for the most part because we are losing that 20% CC reduction between the trinket and the crafted. And then, like what blind is 8 seconds right now, I think they're reducing it to 6, and what with this 20% it's like 6.1 anyway. So, I think it's going to be a wash for the most part. So, we'll see how it plays out. I'm, not trying to ring any
By
kind
a
of
wash, you mean like
it's going to be the same, basically
Okay.
the same thing. Yeah, same. You're going to sit in the same amount of crowd control, compared to the changes along with what we have right now, the 20% reduction.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm
I'm
curious to see, let's say, like who they're listening to.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure like as because like you see those CC changes come out and then you see like some big streamers make videos about it like Venruki and whoever else Supatees, whoever is making videos. I'm sure that like that information coming out probably influenced some people. Um, but anyways, what was the communication like on the community council? Like I guess, do you feel like, because I don't know how, I only read that one thread with you in it, right? I think maybe I saw you a couple more times, but you've obviously talked then in more than just that place on the on the threads. So what was the community council communication like? And like, do you feel like Blizzard was present in those conversations? And do you think that like they listened and heard you guys? Or what exactly was it like? um, in terms of communication with Blizzard.
Yeah, honestly, it was fantastic. Actually, I was able to influence them to make a lot of changes in the game. So things that impact us, for example, in Shadowlands, in the arenas, when you used to queue for arena, you would see the icons on there, but that's all you would see. Like, so you would see, let's say, if a druid's on there, you got druid, whatever, warlock, and a priest. You don't know if that's balance, feral, guardian, resto. You don't know if the priest is holy, disciplined, shadow. So we didn't know that information. You'd have to queue and just wait until you got invited. So I suggested that they need to create, something on the user interface that tells the viewer or the player what specialization those classes are. I think that next patch they actually implemented that. So
Cool.
that was able to. Yeah, there's also coincidentally, this is not well, it is PvP, I guess, but the Warlock Succubus Seduce. I was suggesting like, hey, this you have abilities to make them walk towards it. It would be more thematic for the succubus to actually make the player walk towards them when they're seduced, And I think the next patch they implemented that. And then the last one, which I'm really glad that I was able to get them, get my influence on, was the bracket. So I think that's coming out with 10.1. I'd have to double check when it's taking effect, but I did a long post, a very detailed, a lot of data, explaining how most of the same players eat the top 1% bracket, so for, or 0.5 for the Hero of the Horde.
No way. Okay, so you posted about that.
Yeah, so if you look it up, it was I think it's PvP. It's under PvP bracket issues or something like that. So I had a long thing. I created a spreadsheet for them in the background that I went back and forth with them on the council Discord. So I basically explained how this is impacting the whole thing, and I'm glad they took that under advisement. And like I said, with this next patch, they are doing it so only one player gets in one spot, and the top is gonna basically increase if they have multiple players on that, or the same player with multiple classes. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Nice.
That was such a huge change, man. Thank you.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
That's one of the bigger ones we were talking about. I didn't realize.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. We were just talking about that last podcast. How that's such a big change for the bracket.
Yep. Yeah. So like I said, like I don't know if it's just because the experience stuff like that, but I know some other council members didn't feel as heard, but I feel like I don't know that maybe they're a little bit more casual. That kind of like they don't understand necessarily the ramifications or what the
Yeah,
influence of our words are. But for me, I had a really positive experience. Like I said, I was able to get a lot of great changes in the game, and I'm really grateful that they selected me for it.
that's really cool, man. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were gonna be
Neither
like,
was I.
I thought it was gonna be awful, but that's actually some huge changes that you suggested, and we're seeing them now. So that's incredible. You actually really love to hear stuff like that coming
Yeah.
out of their programs like that. So that's encouraging, man. So I guess how frequently does the community council get to talk with Blizzard? I saw that you mentioned in that first thread that we mentioned, I saw you said something about a PvP summit for the community council.
Yeah,
Um,
I tried to get that rolling. It didn't really come anywhere. Again, I think it's just mainly because it was World PvP and I were the only real technical players on there. So it's like,
yeah.
oh, let's sit down with these two. Whether or not they do in the future, I don't know. I know they had a couple other podcasts. They did one for when they were talking about the trading post. They had another one I can't remember that they invited us to that I couldn't make. But they do, certain things like that. So that's why I was like, oh, let's get a PvP one. But it didn't happen while I was there.
Yeah.
So.
But I guess I mean so you kind of already answered it, but I guess you would say that frequently Blizzard like talks to or at least looks at what you guys are saying. You would say it's
So
pretty
they
frequent.
Yeah, they definitely have, I guess like I don't know what you would call them, but basically the WoW Community Council, like supervisors, if you will. They literally just read all of our communications, they see what we're discussing, etc. And then I believe they, disseminate that information to the appropriate teams. So
Huh.
I know that those supervisors, if you will, definitely always watch what we're doing and, sometimes they'll chime in with things.
Very cool. Okay, well that's
Mhm.
like I said, that's very encouraging news. Um, that's a positive thing for sure. So I guess let's have some fun. Let's just say that we can pick one thing out of anything, really anything you can think of towards rated battlegrounds. So if you could pick one, 6v6 group queue, 6v6 solo queue, or add a new map and rewards to 10v10. What are you guys picking, Drew? What would you pick if you could have, one of those three things or one of really anything in the game for
Wait,
rated battlegrounds? What would you go with?
the new map and new rewards is one thing?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, I'm taking that.
Okay.
Like,
Well, let's
even
split
if it
it
was
up.
four separate things, I would still not pick the two 6v6 things. I would take one of the other two.
Okay, so you're taking map and rewards. A new map
Yeah.
and new rewards if you could have anything.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I suggested this before, but when you say new rewards, do you mean like what do you
2400
mean by that?
mount,
Like
2400 mount for 50 wins over 2400, its own version of different color of the gladiator mount for rated battlegrounds
okay. Okay, yeah,
and a
that.
new hero title.
Or even I had this idea before where you get the seasonal gladiator mount if you hit 20 if you get 50 wins in the 2400 in any of the three brackets, or I guess four if you and now I wouldn't count solo shuffle, but in one of the in 2v2 3v3 or RBGs, and if you got 2400 in a different bracket on the same character that already has 2400 on one of the brackets, instead you get a token, and with that token you can use it to get either a gladiator mount from a season you missed or a tier set or a transmog set from a season you missed.
Okay. Um, yeah, sounds good. Morna, if you could pick one 6v6 group queue, 6v6 solo queue, or new map and new rewards for 10v10, what would you take?
Can't I claim them all? I'm greedy. I would say 66 group queue. I would like to lower the queue times to form an RBG team so you can play quicker. I would say that's probably the most frustrating part about the bracket or just making RPG brackets right now is the time it takes to make a team.
Yep. Okay, so
Hmm.
66 group queue. I will personally take probably I'm very split on. So Morna, a little bit of history with me. I originally I was like, don't kill 10v10 for 6v6. Like I made videos about it. I was like ready to die on that hill. Don't take 10v10 out of the game for 6v6. Then I flip flopped and I went, we need 6v6 solo queue now. We need six, and now I'm back to not wanting solo queue because I think the math is the same. Like 2 healers, 3 DPS, or sorry, 4 DPS. So it'd be the same. It'd be the same math as solo queue or solo shuffle rather. For in terms of healers, and also if you throw a tank in the mix, like I think I don't want to see a solo shuffle version, so I think I'm gonna go 6v6 group queue as well. But I would really love if they don't do 6v6 group queue. I would love new map and new rewards to 10v10. I think
Yeah.
I think they could maybe like revitalize the bracket if they did that a little bit, but or just put in 6v6 group queue, an entirely new thing, and then maybe that would bring some interest as well. But
One thing I do want to comment on though, it's we're asking for new maps and stuff like that, but the last map released was Seething Shore, and look how that turned out. So
yeah,
that's the
but
first thing.
like I got so mad for so many years with the bugs and stuff, and then they took it out. But you know what? Like looking back on it, at least they tried.
Yeah.
Like it was like during Fortnite where everybody was dropping in Battle Royale style, and they made a map like that, and they like at least they tried. It's just like they just left it in bugged for so long, and then nothing else new ever came out. So it's like
Yeah, but
Why is fixing this bug taking so long, though? Like, are they even trying? They're probably not even trying. Like,
they probably just
Yeah.
took it out of the game, man. Just out of
I'm not-
it's out of rateds anyways, but
it's out of rated. You could still do it in randoms, but that brings like another like WTF moment. Like, okay, then did you have to remove Strand of the Ancients completely? Like, because I brought this up in my reaction video to Nixium's Fun or No Fun Battlegrounds. I didn't upload it yet, or I didn't finish editing it yet. But I mentioned like back when Strand of the Ancients, I didn't start doing RBGs until after Strand of the Ancients was removed from the game.
yeah.
And I think it was I think Blizzard said it was because they had trouble balancing it. I don't know if they meant balancing it for rated battlegrounds or for both rated and random battlegrounds, but for whichever reason they decided to take it out completely. And when I brought it up in a previous podcast with you and I forgot our other guest's name, I'm sorry, but I think both of you were like, no, we hate we hate Strand of the Ancients. And I was like, well, then why don't they just do with Strand of the Ancients what they did with Seething Shore? Like, leave it in randoms, but leave it out of the rated battleground rotation.
Yeah, I'm pretty neutral on that. I don't see a problem with it. I'm all in on rateds. So if they wanted to put it in like they did with Seething, I'd be cool with that. Like for randoms, like by all means, I don't see a problem with that.
I miss it. I played a little bit of it with because I was thinking like I really miss it, and then not too long ago when I was going a little bit harder on classic and I replayed Strand of the Ancients, I was like, yeah, I was right. I did miss this. I was not wearing rose tinted glasses. This was a fun BG.
Okay. Yeah, so I think just a new map in the rated pool would be nice. If they added rewards, it'd be super good. Otherwise, if they're not gonna do that, 6v6 group queue, I think is a good option. But no, in terms of Strand, Drew, yeah, I don't see why they couldn't put it in randoms, but who knows? Imagine if they released a new map and it was just for random BGs.
That would be sort of a spit in the face almost to RBG
they
players.
Wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah. No.
I don't think they could do that. I think that'd be so, yeah. Okay, well it's encouraging. Like I said, it's hard to know what they're gonna do, but I just get the feeling they're gonna do something after that little teaser of a blue post too. I wonder how long it'll take too. Like, is it like a year out, next expansion? You know what I mean? Like,
I think if I recall correctly, don't quote me on this. I think it was for Dragonflight, where when we were in beta and they go through the data mining stuff like that, they saw like a location to turn. I think it was not Ashenvale. It was Ashara into a battleground. There was like some kind of data or something like that where it suggested that they were going to turn that into a battleground. So I don't know. Maybe that's coming. Maybe that was just a project that fell through. But people have found like little things in data mining that things would have been a battleground. So
Huh.
they clearly have something in mind, or at least someone's paying attention to it.
Okay. Nice.
Mhm.
Okay. Next question. What do you want to see Blizzard do if you could do anything to WoW? What would you guys do? You could make whatever changes you want. You think you can fix WoW? What would you do if you were in charge of Blizzard for a day? Drew,
Do you have an hour?
hit the wave tops. Hit the wave tops for us.
Okay. Well, there is like, well, I didn't know it was going to be like, if we were in charge of Blizzard for a whole day, but like I did have this one thing here to remind myself. The RBG token idea, that token idea, I already said it. Where if you have 2400 in another bracket, like you get that token and you can redeem a mount or a transmog set from a previous season you missed, but also. I would like for tier sets to not change the stats on PvP gear. Because I don't think it's fair that some classes have to decide, do I want tier sets? Do I want to, my stats actually be good so I heal more or I do more damage? Or do I sacrifice that just to have a tier set? And, for some classes, the stat changes aren't that bad and they get the best of both worlds, while like monk healers, for example, like some of them like opt into, I don't know if some of them or all of them, but I do know at least the ones I've talked to, it's not worth it to have the tier set. They would rather have the regular gear with the stats. So, while they have just normal ass gear, all these other like classes and specs they get the best of both worlds. I don't think that's fair. That's number one. And number two is like, obviously like more attention. I would like also more development on factions in the narrative, because I don't like that both Horde and Alliance are constantly being funneled through the same story. That's kind of I always thought that was lame.
Okay.
Because honestly, Dragonflight, from a narrative perspective, it doesn't really feel that much like Warcraft. I feel like I'm playing a Hearthstone expansion. It's better than Shadowlands, and it's better than BFA narratively, but still.
Okay.
And there's a million other things, but I'll shut up for now.
Okay. Yeah, some good points. Mornnah, if you were in charge of Blizzard and you could see them do anything, what would you go for?
Really quick before I get into that, I kind of want to comment a little bit on Drew's suggestion about the RBG token. You brought that up twice, and I have to give you an opposing opinion on that, because I actually think there's some value to having the exclusive. Oh my god, I cannot say that word right now, but you know what I'm saying. Basically, the uniqueness of that. When you ride around, I mean, for example, Shadowlands, right? Those shadowy drakes. When you ride around on that, people know you were Gladiator for that season, and you can't get it now. And I think there's something kind of neat about like having, from a player's perspective, that strive to want to get it because you have to get it now. So I wouldn't want that, to be honest. I wouldn't want that to kind of negate that that power. I guess that like prestige. Yes. So I don't know, but that's my opinion on it.
I'd like to counter that if that's okay, and I'm not that strongly like one way or the other, but like I see like both. I'm just offering that as like an incentive for people to get involved in other brackets. But also a counter to that is it's kind of not fair from a rating perspective, because like if you didn't do what was the last raid called,
Vault of the Incarnates.
Okay, whatever. I'm talking about the last one in Shadowlands or any Shadowlands raid, whatever. If you did not get that mythic gear set or like the special mount from that raid, it's not that big of a deal. Like oh, I didn't do mythic at all in this, but next expansion I could just do a pug group and and we'll farm that gear and I can get that transmog set and that mount, even though the mount, the chances of it dropping are significantly reduced. It's still possible to get.
Yeah, I agree with
Whereas,
you. I wish they didn't do that. That's my own personal opinion, though.
whereas in PvP, it's impossible if you missed it. So that's why it's kind of like you're doing it. You're allowing prestige for one, but not the other. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually did a long post about that too, where I thought that was kind of messed up. Where yeah, it's 1%, but it should be exclusive. Like if you've got cutting edge on that, that's you earned it. Like that it was hard to get.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have ever got cutting edge, but they take hours and just farm the same thing. It's repetitive. So I think those people deserve to have those amounts, and I think there is a disservice to allow people to get it after the fact.
I agree, and I think it's like the Hero of the Horde title for us. That's what
Don't
we've
ever
been.
post that on Twitter. You'll get a lot of hate for that.
It's the same as Hero of the Horde. It's the same because it's like Hero. What I've been asking for, and Drew, you've heard me say this a million times, is one that's every season. So it's like you said at the start of the podcast, like what we thought it was, Obsidian, Hero of the Horde, and like you get that rank 1 title permanently, but instead RBGers are getting robbed of it. I know I'm kind of going in a different direction here, but it is kind of the same thing as what you're saying, because you can't get that again ever, right? So
Yeah,
it's
I was hoping
it's
that
like
would.
exclusive, but it's like not exclusive enough because you don't
I'm,
keep the
I'm
rank
fine
1
with
title. You
exclusive
just keep Hero.
titles.
What's
I,
that?
I'm fine with exclusive titles. It's just like there was I just wish I knew that I could easily hit 1800 in Legion and get that transmog set, because I was in graduate school at the time, so like I didn't really have time to even attempt it. But then like in BFA, when I started doing RBGs, I was like, oh, I could have gotten that set easily. Damn it, now it's too late.
Right.
Like
No, I understand. I understand your point for sure too.
and I also understand that the prestige, blah, I can't talk today, perspective. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
One of those topics with no right answer.
Yeah, it's really it's up to Blizzard at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Speaking of Blizzard, Morna, if you were in charge of Blizzard for a day, or you could see them do anything, what would be your top things?
I think it kind of goes in hand with balancing, I think, but there's stats on class representation, and it's very evident, like what people aren't playing or what's not being present in certain brackets or modalities. And I think it's interesting that they don't take swifter, you know, um, swifter actions to kind of increase that representation, because it's not being represented for a reason. So if I was in charge, that's something I would definitely look into and try to get that balanced out.
For sure. Anything else?
I mean, probably change it so that warlocks can one-shot everything with a global, and no, I mean,
They already do that. What the heck?
I mean, playing this game so long, there's a whole list of things that I can go off on, but
Yeah.
I think the representation is probably the thing that I don't know, something that I'm always like, why aren't they fixing that?
Yeah.
Chad is saying
So-
no, we don't.
For me, I would definitely go. I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said. For whatever reason, I've always been able to lead RBGs on my Shadow Priest and like do well. Like I've always been one of the better teams, and right now I can't do that. My Shadow Priest is garbage. I can't even play it. Like it might like I form a group, and then if the group has any brains and has rating, they're like, "Why are you on Shadow Priest?" Because you do no damage. So yeah, that's a little bit like, so I don't know, like I know that's kind of selfish to say like buff Shadow Priest, but yeah, just piggybacking
It
off
should
what
be
you
fair.
said. Yeah, piggybacking off what you said, I'd love to see them balance that, because right now it's a Ret Paladin's world and we're all just living in it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
But no, actual
after the
changes I
nerfs.
want to see. Actual changes I want to see Blizzard do. I would love to see them. This is a little off topic, but I'd love to see them hire like a leadership company to evaluate their like managers and help them create a better system so that, I mean, it sounds like Mornnah actually kind of said that their system was doing well, like everything we've heard so far. It sounds like you were listened to and stuff. But, you know, if there's a freaking developer there that's got a sweet idea for rated battlegrounds and he's been put off for 5 years, like, get that guy a team and work on it. Like, you know, I'd love to see them create some more like innovation in the RBG scene and just the PvP scene in general. I know they took a risk on solo shuffle, but we tested that as a brawl in the game for a year. And it just feels like it's so corporate and there's so much red tape. I would love to see them hire some sort of consulting company that can come in and be like, you guys can be more efficient and get shit done faster and better and empower your employees. And I just would love to see that happen rather than whatever's, you know, there's been a bunch of scandals and the player base dropped in BFA and Shadowlands, and Dragonflight's better, yeah, but, you know, there's been some damage done there. And I would love to see them, you know, get some sort of help to fix this red tape issue and this kind of, I know it's a massive corporation, but
Yeah.
there's got to be a way that they can, you know, get devs to be devs again rather than just kind of spitting out this product that is like, it's like temporarily good and then it dies out for a while, and then the next
Dragonflight
quarter
sold less than Shadowlands.
yeah, and then the next
unfortunately.
quarter, you know, they release a patch and it dies, and then they release like a classic thing, and then the next quarter there's another season. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so scripted right now. I'd love to see them be able to maybe, I don't know if it's even possible, but like just innovate more and actually get the wheels turning on ideas and just put them in the game and take those risks. So that's what I would love to see Blizzard do. Obviously, that relates to RBGs, like new rewards, new titles, new mounts, new maps, new game modes, all that stuff. But it comes from the top, and I think if you're looking at the bigger picture, I think, so there would have to be some sort of, you know, structural change, or at least like empower your employees to be able to do that type of stuff. So yeah, that's my answer on what I would do if I was in charge of Blizzard.
I have a question though about like, I don't know if this is really much of a question, but like, I remember a year ago the community council was maybe not all everyone talked about, but it was talked about so much. But lately, I hear almost nothing about it.
Well,
Like,
it died. Remember, there was a lot of problems with WoW, and they were going through a massive PR like battle basically with the public. And so the community council at the time was one way that they could say, "Hey, we're listening." Do you know what I mean? That's the way I feel about it.
now, so they stopped highlighting it because the PR is a little better now.
I'm not sure they stopped highlighting it. You got to think, Drew. There's a whole ecosystem. So
I
when WoW was
haven't heard anything about it.
yeah, but when WoW was in all that drama and shit, you had like Stoops talking about it. You had Savix, you had Asmongold, Bellular. You had an entire massive like ecosystem and fan base that was talking about it. So when they would release the community council, everybody at that time hadn't quit WoW yet and gone to Final Fantasy or Lost Ark. They were all still holding on. And then it was like the scandal and everything. And I think it was right around that time that it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was end of season 3 of Shadowlands.
Yeah. So,
like, did the council get smaller, or did it get more members?
I just think like Osmond, like a lot of the streamers.
I was hoping our friend could answer that.
Sorry, yeah, by all means.
No, so they have a set amount, and then we have the 1-year term, and then we get replaced with however many lost. So I think there's a set amount. I don't know exactly how many people are in there. I want to say it's like 100, but there's maybe not all hundreds talk though, which is kind of interesting because these people, we all apply for it.
100?
I think there's a good amount. I think it's a good amount, but I'm trying to see if I'm pulling up something to see if they mention it in here, but no, they don't. Yeah, there's a good amount. It's just some people are in it and never say a word, so it's interesting. You have people that are a lot more vocal, and of course we tend to get more showcase than other the more silent types. So
And
I don't know.
how did you apply again? Wasn't there like a round of applications going out, like Google form or something?
Yeah, they made a post in one of on the forums about it, and then they had a link to I think it was an Excel sheet. I can't remember. It's been a while. And you just sign in and submit.
Okay. Yeah, interesting stuff. Um, well, patch 10.1 and season 2 are the next thing on our table here
Mm-hmm.
for World of Warcraft. What do you guys think about like, season 2 coming out and patch 10.1? Like the game feels a little bit more dead than I think a lot of us would like it to.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys have hope for 10.1 in season 2? Do you think it's going to come back with a punch and a bunch of people are going to try it out again? It'll be popular for a bit and then taper off, or um, how do you guys what do you guys think about that, Drew?
Well, was there ever a time with Blizzard where I guess maybe it happened in Wrath where the game got more the subscriber count went up a little bit after the first patch, or because I always thought that like after the first patch after the game the expansion gets released, the final it does not get higher throughout the expansion, or like the
Um,
active sub count.
I would guess that it goes down over time, but I don't know for sure.
But I'm trying to say like, but like, do you remember a time where it went up? Like season one, it was whatever, and then season two, subscribers went up. I think maybe it happened in Wrath of the Lich King, but other than that,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm drawing a blank on like what I was getting at. Oh, I'm curious. I don't know what the not just the sub count. Like I already said, like Dragonflight sold less than Shadowlands, unfortunately. I don't know by how much. I don't know if like what does that mean? What was it? 500,000 less copies were sold. Was it 5 less copies sold? Like I have no idea. But it's also the active player count I'm curious about. I do know that from a Bellular video I watched, and they had data to back it up. In the final patch of Shadowlands, that was the lowest. The active player count was under 2 million, which was the lowest active player count in WoW's history. And not coincidentally, they introduced cross faction then.
Yeah.
So, and this season, right now, it feels like it's more active. I feel like there's more active players than Shadowlands. I feel like getting an RBG group together takes a little less time than in the final season of Shadowlands, but I don't know like what the active player count is compared to the final season of Shadowlands, if the active player count is higher or around the same, or if it just artificially feels higher because of cross faction,
Yeah.
and when it's really not.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the numbers either, but I'm pretty
Well, they
hopeful. Go ahead,
they
sorry.
intentionally don't release the numbers, so
Yeah.
Blizzard actually withholds that information. I can't remember. I know I saw the same video you did, the Bellular video, and I can't remember how they ascertain their numbers. I want to say it was like by downloads or something like that, wasn't it? Or even their data though isn't
Like
exactly
character
accurate.
login, I think. Account login, I think.
Okay, but even so, like their data isn't accurate, so
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
we'll never know.
The Twitch viewership has like halved for
Oh,
WoW,
yeah.
which
Well,
is sad.
Asmongold mentioned this. Like, the Dragonflight was the first expansion Soda Poppin did not stream on
Yeah,
release,
I
and
heard
that was a
too.
big deal because
Yeah, and I
you know,
don't.
like yeah.
So-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think the next patch is gonna bring like the big streamers back. I don't think it'll bring them back, but I think it'll bring like a healthy amount back where like for at least for a couple weeks at the start of the season, it'll be easier to find games, like high rated games. Like currently right now, this is just personal where I'm at, but like I'm just leading like 1900 CR games every day because I can fill a group. If I try to do like a hero team, I'd be sitting like 2-3 hours like waiting. So season 2, like at the start of a new season, it's always like one of the few times you can actually make a push team. So I'm kind of excited for it for that reason. Being able to like find players again. But I don't know how much better it's going to be than it is now. I would imagine the player base bumps up though. Mornnah, you got anything on this?
I mean, the thing with the new patch is that, I mean, there's nothing really big change. I mean, yeah, they're doing the crowd control changes. They released obviously the video of, the cinematic with the 3 dragons, and like nothing about it screams like, "Oh my God, we need to get back in this game. That's such a cool story. We got to figure out where this is going." Or like, so I don't think it's really gonna have any impact on the player base, to be honest. Like, maybe I'm just pessimistic, but I mean, the cinematic was cool, right? They always do a fantastic job with that, but it's just nothing about it like screams for players to come back, from my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a buddy message me, like one of my friends that I play main team RBGs with. I asked him to come back and play for season 2, and he was like, it's just the same thing with less people. So
Yeah.
no. And I was like, fuck, like, yeah, he's right. It is the same thing with less people every time. So it's just getting smaller and smaller. But
Yep, all we're gonna have to do is learn the new tier sets, what they all do, and then rinse and repeat.
yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, anything else on top of your head that you guys would like to discuss before we wrap it up here? No?
Well, I mean, Morna, you looking at my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have this just, lying around as someone on the community council. Now, I heard Blizzard wanted to add more race class combinations. And I think it would be really great if they did not do that. And if that were the case, and someone influenced them to do that, I don't know. Maybe this will find its way in someone's mailbox. Who knows?
This man thinks $5 is gonna sway me. Try again, buddy. Add some zeros on there, then we'll talk.
Damn, that's savage.
I don't like the new race class combos because like it ruins it doesn't completely ruin the fantasy, but like that's what makes the classes and races feel unique. And then plus like at that point, if you made every class, every race, like you would have to remove the racial abilities because race homogenization is just so bad right now. Like I like night elves, I like humans, I like orcs, but there's too many of them.
Yeah. No, I'm on board with you. Like I think yeah, no, I'm on the same page with you. I don't like I can't say the variety, but sometimes it doesn't make sense, Like it should at least fit the lore of the game, why that class, can be that race, but it seems like they're giving players more like agency to just pick whatever, so I get it, but also yeah. I'm curious though, like with the for the next patch, with the CC reduction changes, I wonder if everyone's going to swap to Orc though. That's something I'm very curious to see.
Oh yeah, that's actually a huge thing for RBGs. Is the CC changes. Like,
and in Arena,
yeah, because it's different for both, right? But I'm just thinking in RBGs, it is a 6-second cast bar to cap a base. So with CC being reduced, like now all of a sudden a full poly's not enough, a full clone's not enough. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna really make it a little bit more advanced to take bases. So I don't know if like rogues become less valuable or it's just you just instead of doing 1 CC you do 2 and you still cap on people. But yeah, that CC changes will be very interesting for RBGs because it affects the caps.
Bit of a hot take. I wish they would take out racial abilities. I've been saying that since 2008, but
The arena pros are like super think that the CC thing could kill the game. Do you guys see those videos?
I think
Kill
they
the
just got the
game?
hype though. Like I mean, like I said, it's gonna be washed for the most part. So I think they do that for the clickbait and the hype
Okay.
and whatever.
Yeah, like this could kill the game or whatever, and then it's just like a clickbaity
Yeah.
thumbnail.
If,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
if
know
killing
there's
the
a-
game, like, I feel like if and when the game dies, it's not going to be because of one thing. I think it's going to be like a mix of several things.
Yeah, well, we've already seen a couple years of it at this point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And Blizzard doesn't want to fix it for some reason, even though like
I
there's
think they
evidence
do.
that
I think they do. I think the people that work there probably want to make a good game. I think the corporate structure gets in the way of them being able to do that. That's my
Right.
impressions. Like my impressions are like the devs care, but the devs can't like do what the community wants a lot of the time or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of my
Right.
read on the situation.
same here.
No.
But all right, Blizzard cares. Hashtag Blizzard cares. Well, thanks. Thanks for coming on, Mornnah. Any
Yeah, thanks for having me.
final closing words here for the pod?
Nope. Just if Blizzard's listening, they need to add RBG rewards.
Yeah. I agree, man. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Drew. Good show. Find his stuff in the description below as well. Give him a sub on YouTube, and check out his Twitch stream. And we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.